So quite often I'm telling you guys about American Express credit cards, which earn you American Express membership reward points. And often these bonuses in particular can be really lucrative, 20, 40, 50, 60,000, whatever it might be. But what do you do with those points? Now, it used to be, I say, swap them into Avios and then into Nectar points, because it used to give you a guaranteed return of 0.75 pence per point, equivalent of 0.75% cashback, which was pretty decent. Not the best out there, but pretty decent, particularly when it came to those bonuses. Then they got reduced and it went down to like 0.63, which wasn't as good, but still not bad. And it's definitely a guaranteed thing, and you could use it on your supermarket shopping at all these kind of places. But then it got downgraded again. And now to do it, go via that route. Well, one, there's no point. Go to Avios and then into Nectar. You can just go straight into Nectar points because the valuation you get is 0.5p. That's not as good, right? Obviously not as good. So what do you do with these points? What are your options? Well, I want to take you through all the different things here to help you decide, because there's no real clear-cut option. There's definitely some which aren't as great, and we'll start with those. Moving on to some which are a much more sort of certainty and give you more flexibility, I guess, in what you do with your money, onto ones which have a much more variable valuation. Before we do that, very quickly, what are these points? Well, there are 3 Amex credit cards that earn you Amex Reward points. There's the American Express Platinum, which is a very expensive card, £650 a year, but it does come with extra things like travel insurance and other kind of discounts at places like Harvey Nicks and restaurants. That one, again, can have the largest welcome bonuses when those things are boosted. And definitely would recommend you wait till these offers are boosted in order to take advantage of them. Obviously, share those with you over at becleverwithyourcash.com and in YouTube videos and on the podcast when they come along. There's also the American Express Preferred Rewards Gold credit card. This one has lower welcome bonuses, but again, when they're boosted, that's a great time to take advantage of them. What's good about this card is in the first year, it is free. There is no charge at all for this. And then there's also the American Express Rewards card, which I wouldn't suggest anyone get this as your first card, but it's certainly a good one to consider if you are closing down a platinum or gold card, but you want to protect these points, because if you've not used them yet, you can transfer them, open up this American Express Rewards card, and those points are still protected. They're not going to disappear, but you avoid the fees that come with those other cards. Now, with each of those, you would also, as well as welcome bonuses that come with them, you'll earn 1 point for every pound that you spend. And that's the kind of where I'm working at here, how we work out how things are going to, the value of them for each point and the equivalent you get on cashback, and help you decide, really, I mean, we're not going to focus it on here, but focus on whether you want to get these cards for your spending compared to other cashback cards, or whether you're just going to use them for these bonuses and then take advantage later on. So what are they worth? Well, it depends how you redeem them. The ones with a clear value, though, just obviously quickly say here, 100 points would be worth about 45 or 50p. So that means 1,000 points would be worth about £4.50 or £5. 10,000 points would be worth about 45 or 50 quid, and 100,000 points worth about 450 or 500 quid. These are the kind of clear redemptions. Obviously, there are others that could make it worth more or less than that, but it's a good thing to framework there to consider when you're looking at those welcome bonuses, exactly what they're going to be earning you, particularly if you're then going to try and sort of look at it against the annual fees that might be coming into play. So how do you do it? What are your options here? Well, the first thing you can do is you can swap it for credit on your bill. So let's say you've got £500 you owe on your bill and you've got a number of points available on there. You can maybe pay some of those off. So some of your points transferred into credit and reduce your bill, which sounds like it's a good option, right? However, this is going to be one of the lowest valuations you can get, 0.45p per point. So I generally would avoid this because, you can use similar, get to in a second, just that a little bit more is going to be better. So generally I would avoid doing that. But if there's nothing else you want to do, or you're worried about how you're going to clear a credit card balance, where we try and clear this in full every single month to avoid interest charges, then you might want to go with that. You get the same rate if you spend with some online shops. So literally, I had this the other day. I was buying something and we were using my card to pay. And at the checkout, it said, do you want to use your points? Again, this is a bad option because it's same 0.5p per point. But retailers there's a big, long list. But you've got Aldi, Amazon, Argos, Asda, Boots, British Airways, Costco, Currys, Domino's. The list goes on. I can full list this over at becleverwithyourcash.com if you do want to see all the different options. Or when you go into Amex account, you can see all of those as well. But be really careful here when you are using, if you are using any of those Amex cards at the checkout to make a purchase, that you don't accidentally select that you want to pay with your points. Shouldn't be too easy to do, but it is possible. You could just sort of, in a rush, click a button and actually it takes points away. So just watch out for that. The same exchange rate at 0.5p works if you want to donate to charity. So again, if you don't need the points, you've got loads, you're not going to use them for anything else, then you could obviously give them to charity. But I'd personally rather use them elsewhere and give the same money that I wanted to the charity instead, because everyone works out a little bit better. That's effectively via Just Giving. So there's a huge number, obviously thousands of charities listed on there that you could give to. And also at the same rate, Amex Travel, you can book different flights, hotels, all sorts of things. But again, at that lower 0.45p rate, doesn't give you any advantages doing this. So again, I would avoid doing that using your points. Now, let's move on to the slightly better ones. And this, I think, might be where most of you do end up doing this. So again, this is not amazing, but it might work out the best option for you. First here is to swap it for gift cards. These work out 0.5p for every point. So you're getting that little bit more. So for every 1,000 points, that's an extra 50p that you're getting. Okay, so it's definitely worth considering this. There are some big names on there. Amazon, ASOS, H&M, Harrods, M&S, Odeon, Spotify, Waterstones. Not as many as the other options, but definitely a number there. There's also this one for all cards. I'm sure you've come across these, where there are a number of different retailers, and there are extra ones on there like John Lewis and IKEA, although there are also some different caveats that come with that one for all card, as all gift cards do have certain rules. So just make sure you understand, if you're buying any of these gift cards, exactly what the limitations are. Some of that could well be expiry dates, when you've got to use them, how much you can use them on. Some cards, I hate it, where you've got a little bit left and you have to use the exact money, so you're always left with a little bit at the end, which is wasted money, more so on the one for alls than the other cards. But definitely read up all about that. And also be really careful. This is good guidance for any kind of gift card you're using, whether you're giving it to somebody else or using it for your own spending, which is how I tend to use gift cards. They obviously, one, if they expire and you don't use it, you've lost the money. If you lose the gift card, whether it's a digital one or a physical one, you've lost the money. And also, if the company was to go bust, very likely you would lose the money. So what I would suggest here is you don't do, like, if you have got like loads of points, don't just sort of, let's say you got, 50,000 points, which would be worth like 250 quid. Don't convert it into one gift card. Do them in smaller denominations as and when you're going to be using those gift cards to reduce the risk of that kind of all being null and void. If you are trying to use up all your points because you want to cancel the card, remember, there is that rule with American Express that you can't get another welcome bonus within 2 years, unless you've got to cancel it. You'll wait 2 years to do it. So if you're trying to cancel it, so in 2 years' time you can get another welcome bonus, then you might be rushing to spend the points different ways if you can. Maybe then spread it out across different gift cards. Also worth knowing here, there is different minimum thresholds for different ones. So for Amazon, it's a minimum of a £5 voucher, which is 1,000 points. Whereas something like Harrods is a minimum of 50 quid, which is obviously a lot more. That's 10,000 points. So it will vary. How you want to redeem them will make a big difference. Now, you can get the same slightly better 0.5 exchange rate if you swap them straight into Nectar points. I mentioned that at the top. It used to be to get a boosted rate, you go into Avios, into Nectar. Now just swap them straight into Nectar points if you wish. Now, one benefit of moving them into Nectar points over the other things, the other gift cards, is when they're in Nectar points, obviously you can use them when you're Sainsbury's shopping, which all of us can. Even if we don't do it regularly, we can shop at Sainsbury's. Plus you can use them in eBay, Argos, Habitat, but you can also then swap them into Avios if you wished. And there are a few other ways you can exchange them again later on. So you've got to be a little bit more flexibility there in how you want to use them. So it's definitely something to consider. And also, you can use it on Sainsbury's petrol stations as well. So that's something to think about. They're the main ones. And I think the gift cards and Nectar for most of you are going to be the best option. But some of you might want to consider using them and swapping them into kind of travel schemes. Now, the first one of these is Club Eurostar. This is where the conversion gets a little bit different. The ratio, you need 15 Amex Reward points to convert into one Club Eurostar point. And that means that it's difficult to get a kind of valuation on this because so many things come into play. So, for example, how soon you book a ticket. Is it, in 6 months' time, or is it this weekend? Can you travel really early in the morning, or do you want to go in the afternoon? Can you get a sale ticket? All those kind of things. It's hard to get an exact point, but I had a quick look at this on some, there's a flash sale at the time I'm recording this for Eurostar. A return to Paris would require 2,000 Eurostar points, or 3,000, depending on the flexibility with it. Now that works out at 30,000 or 45,000 Amex points. Now, so there's a flash sale on right now. return to Paris can be got for 70 quid there. That means an Amex point is worth between sort of 0.23p or 0.35p on those particular redemptions. That's obviously very low, right? So you wouldn't want to do that. If you think you can buy a sale price ticket at a off-peak time of traveling, then you may as well do that with Eurostar rather than convert these points over, because you're better off swapping them into Sainsbury's or Amazon or whatever it might be. But let's say you're going, for whatever reason, I've got to go this weekend and I've got to travel at peak time on Friday, back at peak time on a Sunday. I had a look and the fare was 5 times that. And that would mean the point was worth a huge amount more suddenly, between 11.5p, 1.15p or 1.75p. So again, a big difference there in exactly what they're worth. That is really good. But again, would you be traveling at that time? Do you need to travel at that time? And that's the same thing that comes onto the next section, which is one of the most popular reasons why people do like to get any kind of point, whether it's these Amex points or Avios points or Virgin Atlantic points, whatever it might be. It is airlines. Again, they can potentially be quite lucrative for you here. They can have a much higher value. But you have so many of those same considerations that impact things. Where are you flying? When are you flying? What class are you flying? Do you have a companion voucher? These 2-for-1 vouchers that come with the Amex British Airways cards or the Barclays card, Avios cards, and other similar ones with other airlines. All these things come into play, which make it very, very difficult to know what they're going to be worth. I would say when it comes to economy flights, those are in popular destinations where there's a lot more competition going on, or where there are kind of budget airlines running things. You're probably better off waiting. Find out when a sale is happening for those particular airlines and those particular routes, and getting yourself the cheapest fare you can and using those points, as I said, elsewhere. Now, if you are someone who tends to fly business, or perhaps you have got those vouchers that we mentioned, or you're going to places which are maybe a little bit more unusual, then earning points, swapping your Amex Reward points into those airline points potentially can make a difference. But it's so hard. So really the only way you're going to find out if this works for you is to go in and find out exactly how many points you need for those destinations, and then look at how much a cash flight would be so you can make that comparison to know. Just for an example, I had a look at flying from London to San Francisco with Avios. So imagine I swapped those Amex points into Avios. That would require to pay for the full flight of Avios. Obviously, there are partial versions so you can pay in fewer points and more taxes, but it'd be 65,000 Avios plus £150 in taxes. Now, a direct flight in cash, the same flight, would cost 590 quid. So that would mean your point is worth 0.69. Okay, so that's actually quite good. That's better than other things. You are saving money by doing this. And that's particularly been accentuated since that devaluation of the Avios to Nectar swap, whereas before it would have been slightly different. Now, though it's a shame that's happened, it does make them more valuable as Avios than compared to Nectar. But if you were to shop around, you would get a deal. There was a sale on quite recently for that same route. Flights were down to about 440, 450 quid. And that point would be coming down sort of below 0.45p, similar to what we were saying at the top. So obviously, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'd say much still better now to be thinking about swapping these into airline points if you're going to use them. But you do have to use them. And the other problem that comes with doing that is it does restrict you a little bit. So you're like, well, I've got these points. I put them into Avios, or I've put them into Qantas, or I put them into Virgin Atlantic Flying Club, or whatever it might be. All of a sudden, you are going locked down to those particular airlines and those particular routes, which might not be a problem. But we had this recently. We had loads of Avios points and we had the voucher. It's a bit of a tangent, but I had a voucher and we're like, where can we fly with these points that we've got with this voucher so we don't lose it? And it restricted us quite a lot. So yeah, worth having a look at it, but don't get too carried away. Really work out if it's going to work well for you. And finally, the same goes for the holiday, the hotel schemes. There's Hilton Honors, Marriott Bonvoy, Madison Rewards. Again, I think these are worthless, mainly because most of us, we want to shop around for those hotels as well, get those bargains. But if you're someone, maybe you travel for business a lot, you go to the same hotel chains again and again and again and again, and you're racking up loads of points anyway and status, and you get these perks, then maybe having extra points that you transfer over could be valuable to you. But for most of us, I wouldn't bother with that. So there you go. Hopefully that helps you decide what to do with your American Express reward points. Again, there was a whole article with details of all those different options over at becleverwithyourcash.com. So do check that out. And we'll link to that in the show notes as well. My name's Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these videos here for more ways to make the most of your money.